How's it going, everyone? Equinox Phoenix here. Today we're going to talk about Batwoman Season 1, Episode 12, titled Take Your Choice. This episode was a doozy. As some of you may remember from last week's episode, um, there is now a doppelganger of Alice, or Beth Kane, actually. It's a non-kidnapped version of Beth from another Earth. Earth UD14, apparently, because they just couldn't give it a normal number. Um, but yeah, so now we have Beth. And as we saw at the end of last week's episode, Beth and Alice ended up with a splitting headache. Uh, which apparently, uh, I might go on a small little rant after this, but apparently that's because there are two Beth Kanes on Earth Prime now, and there's too many Beths for one universe, which I question because there were two Barry Allens on Earth 38 at one point. As well as two well, yeah, there were two Barry Allens on Earth 38, and there's two Barry Allens on Earth 2. Remember when Barry went to Earth 38, they may not have found the Barry Allen, but hell, there was two Hunter Zollomans. Forget all of that. There was two Hunter Zollomans on Earth 1 for the longest time. And Zoom and non-Zoom never had headaches. I mean, Zoom was already dying, but so like I don't understand. This is what I meant in the Crisis recap episode video where I said they undid not the recap video, the one after that, the like post Crisis recap, where I said Oliver fixed a lot of the unnecessary deaths that were the writers put into. We have all of the ones in Arrow being fixed, and now all of a sudden, but none of the other shows, of course, because Oliver has to be a little selfish. And but now we have what is likely to be an unnecessary death now. But we'll talk about that later. So now, obviously, there's two Beths. We need to have only one. The universe is like, oh no. I finished my tea. I'm sad. Anyway, so obviously either Alice or Beth have to die. So this entire episode, the whole premise of this episode is it's a race against time, right? Alice finds out by heading to Kate in Wayne Tower, where she meets Beth and is like, "Oh!" And she finds out that her Kate may have been completely useless. I hate saying that. I hate saying that. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Kate Kane, but Beth's Kate actually saved her. Yeah, that's the thing. And obviously, in the background, we have Sophie now is director, and she's like on like this crazy rampage, and where it's like we must kill Alice, blah 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 blah, and I'm just like that's help. That's not helping anyone. Sophie Moore. So after Alice leaves, she gets mad, I guess, or whatever. She leaves Beth. Strangely not. Oh, she leaves Beth alive because Kate caught the knife. I grabbed my wrist. She caught the knife. Here's a fork. She grabs the knife right as it's like right in front of her, like this. It was amazing. I loved seeing that scene from killing Beth, and it's just like, and so she leaves and goes to young Mary Hamilton, and somehow Alice figures out. I don't. She makes the connection that Mary's blood will save one of them because it'll give one of them just enough more time uh to survive for the other to die. And so Mary fights Alice after Alice pulls some of her blood, grabs the syringe, takes it to Kate, and is like, "You can save one Beth. Who will you choose?" Right? Now, obviously, me saying this, seeing this, and how like we know that Kate's guilt for being unable to save Alice beforehand is very large. Um, it consumes her a lot, and at this point, I was like, okay, Rip Beth. Like in my head, I was like, Rip Beth because she's gonna save Alice, obviously, right? Like you'd think. And no, turns out, and then we see her showing up to Alice, and I was like, oh well, fuck. It looks like fuck. It looks like she did say she is deciding to save Alice. Nope. Turns out she saved. She chose to save Beth, and they kind of hug it out a bit, like on the floor, because obviously Alice is tied down from the fight with Mary, and they start crying, right? Like Alice doesn't want to die. Like no one wants to die. Like she's not a psycho. She's just kind of broken. Alice isn't crazy. She's just broken. She's a broken human being with possible Stockholm syndrome. In all of this, we also find out that Dr. Cartwright, Mouse's dad, is alive, well, and oh, yeah, he's after Alice. Because he believes that Alice is the reason that Mouse, I guess, betrayed him, quote unquote. Even though, sorry about that. I actually managed to hit the right button this time. But yeah, even though Dr. Cartwright is the reason that Mouse, I guess, emotionally fled to Alice. Not to mention, if Dr. Cartwright had just let Beth go, one of them is like, "Oh yeah, I did find your daughter." Just he could have just made like pretended to be a good guy, just be like, "Oh yeah, I found her. She's here," and go get her, and just be like, "Here you go." That would have not. He would have never had the Mouse betrayal because all of that happened afterwards. But yeah, he kidnaps Mouse from the hospital, drugs him, finds out where Alice is. So and then after uh Kate saves Beth and is saying her goodbyes to Alice, we see I think his name is Luke. I was about to be like, I think his name is Luke, and then I saw on the wiki page his name is Luke. So we see Luke and Beth escape Wayne Tower, and they're at Twin Peaks Inn, I believe is what it's called. And we see Sophie with a sniper. She's about to kill Beth, who we know is innocent, because Sophie's like not. She's not in the know, as it were. I was about to say dumb, but she's not dumb. She's just not in the know of all the facts around the situation, which is why Kate tried to stop her. Oh, apparently Dr. Cartwright's name is August. Okay. I just saw that right now. His first name is not relevant. He's a terrible character, and you'll find out why in a bit. And while Sophie has Beth in her sights, I don't know why I did that, but yeah, while Sophie has Beth in her sights, turns out she's about to. And then she stops. She's just like, she like calls her back up, and then boom, not Kate. Beth gets shot. Beth, who has survived the universe plague, because she's all better now. Nope, gets shot and dies in Luke's arms. And because Beth died, guess who's back to full health and very angry? Alice. Rightfully so. Her sister did essentially doom her to death. Now, Kate had her reasonings, multiple reasonings, all very good. Um, Beth was essentially Kate's second chance at having a life with her sister, whereas Alice is like a mentally broken down version of her sister that isn't really recognizable as Beth Kane anymore. But also, Alice is now justifiably angry. So yeah, the 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 episode ends with Alice knocking out Kate, and I gotta say, I don't. I've made my opinion on unnecessary deaths like this very clear. I don't like it. It's not good for character development. There's you've literally made they've literally written a character that is nigh unredeemable. We don't get a good version. You can't be like, oh, what about Caitlyn from Earth 1? No, Caitlyn was always a good person. She was in a very hyper emotional state as Killer Frost. But they worked through it. Also, Killer Frost was always there for one. Number two, Caitlyn was actively suppressing Killer Frost, so Frost was angry at Caitlyn. Sorry, I don't Katie, Caitlyn, whatever. At Caitlyn, so Frost was angry at Caitlyn. She was lashing out. It was essentially teen angst, but in a not so teen body. That's all it was. It was just, why do you hate me so much? I'm literally a part of you. But they worked it out. They worked it out in between seasons, right? And now it's all good. Now instead of Killer Frost, we have just Frost, and she's a good girl. He's a good guy. But this isn't that. This is someone was kidnapped as a child after suffering trauma, and then they were mentally broken. Like, I Alice is currently nigh unredeemable. I don't know how they're gonna work this out, but I think they should have let Alice die. Let Dr. August Cartwright, I'm gonna say his entire thing right now, be the main villain for season 1, part 2. It would have been so much better. But I'm gonna withhold my opinion on the series as a whole, season, not series, and see where it goes for the rest of the season. I don't agree with killing off Beth instead of Alice. I think that they had gone the right direction up until Dr. Cartwright got involved, which was ever. Anyway, tell me what you guys thought of this episode in the comments down below. If you guys haven't already, hit like, hit subscribe if you're new. I will see you guys next time, and as always, stay bright.